What's up, Anchor listeners for the Common Sense Show TV? What's going on, man? Listen, real quick, I just want to ask you a question. Have any of you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to start this podcast, get it off the ground, I've been on Anchor for a couple of years now. I had a lot of questions about it. How do I record an episode? How do I get my podcast on Apple Music and Spotify and Google and all that good stuff? And how do I make money from it? So the answer to every one of those questions that I asked myself was simply this particular platform at Anchor.fm. Now, Anchor, you can do everything here, one stop for recording, hosting, and distributing all of your podcasts because you don't have to really go through a middleman. It's all done right here on Anchor. Best of all, it's 100% free, you guys, and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor is going to match you with great sponsors so you can get paid to podcast. So eventually, I'm going to get paid to do this. I tell you. Now, I use Anchor simply because I broadcast the Common Sense Show TV right here on Anchor, and I distribute that through Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Castbox, Radio Public, right here on the internet. So if you guys want to start a podcast, make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. To join me and other podcasters on Anchor and this diverse community of podcasters already using this particular platform. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
Good morning, family. It is Thursday, April the 7th. I'm sorry, April, good Lord, May the 17th. Welcome to another recording of the Common Sense Show TV. Today, my subject or my topic today, very quickly, is going to be, who are you listening to? Who are you listening to? That's a very important question. If you ask yourself, who are you listening to in your life? If you are going through a certain situation, a bad situation, or you need help in some areas, and you go to someone for advice, and those people who you are going to haven't walked 2 steps in your shoes, have no idea of what you are going through, those people cannot possibly help you. So what we have to do is understand who in the world we're listening to. If you are in a relationship and it's not going right, let's say, for example, you have a girlfriend and you love your girlfriend or your boyfriend and you're going through something and you talk to someone who can't keep a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you may want to rethink that because their mindset is they can't keep anybody anyway. And they have the nerve to want to give you advice about relationships. Be mindful of who you are listening to. Married folks, if you're listening to this, and if you're married and you're going through a brief thing in your marriage, you cannot go to a single person who is single and ask for advice. Why? Because they have no idea what it's like to be married. They have no idea. They have not walked a mile in your shoes. And I think part of using a little bit of common sense is understanding the surroundings, understanding who you're dealing with. If you got people in your circle who have not endured 1 minute of what you're going through, you need to let those people go or not go to them at all because it's pointless. It's the blind leading the blind. If you're hurting and you go to someone who has never gone through the hurt that you've gone through, they can't tell you nothing. I can promise you that. If you are struggling in decision making or whatever, and you got people in your circle who struggle with decision making every day, they can't give you any guidance. So what I'm trying to tell you guys in this podcast this morning is, stop listening to those folks who have not gone a mile in your shoes. They have no idea what you're talking about. They're just talking to hear themselves talk. There are so many people out here that are doing that. And it's got to stop at some point or another. It's got to stop. Listen, if you're going through something, you need to seek out people who have done or have been through what you've gone through. Anything less is uncivilized, and it's an absolute waste of time. Stop doing it. Who are you listening to today? If you have struggles in your business, you're not going to go to a non-business person for advice. They can't tell you nothing. If you are married and you want advice from someone, if they have not been married, they can't tell you nothing. If you have a problem with a girlfriend relationship, if they can't keep one, they cannot tell you nothing. I hope somebody's catching this. I hope somebody's actually listening to this, because it's so important that we remove those negative things out of our life in order to get to the next step. You guys have been and listened to me, and I'll say the same thing all the time. This whole life thing is a process. It's a process. And in order to get to the next step in this process, you have to remove folks from your circle who mean you no good. There are some folks who are there and they may mean you good, but they can't really help you if they're being honest with themselves. If they've never gone through anything, they can't tell you nothing. They can't tell you about a struggle if they've never gone through it. They can't help you have a wet paper bag if they've never been in one. People, my family, I love each and every last one of y'all. Make better decisions. Find out, listen today. Just think about it just today. Who are you listening to in your life? That is the topic on today. That is the question of the day. I hope someone listens to this and says, you know what, he making a little bit of sense. So thank you guys for joining me on my live today, my podcast today. Thank you for that. I will be doing a live on Facebook. If you do not follow me on Facebook, it is facebook.com/Terry Little. That's my last name. Or the Common Sense Show TV page on Facebook. You can follow that. Catch a replay on there. Go to the website at www.thecommonsenseshowtv.com. Check me out on YouTube. If you listen to these podcasts, listen on Radio Public, Overcast, iTunes. I'm everywhere just about. I didn't know that, but I know it now. So you guys have a great rest of your day, man. Be blessed, and I love you. Peace.